education in the Philippines. We will go live in 10 seconds. And currently we are finally live streaming. Thank you so much for your understanding and patience. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Myung-Sun Park from Institute of APEC Collaborative Education in Korea. I'm a senior program specialist of the Institute in charge of helping all ALCoB projects be organized in kind cooperation with ministries of education from other APEC member economies. And this 2021 online workshop for ALCoB teacher will be a locus for ALCoB teachers from other APEC member economies to exchange their knowledge and experiences in the field of global education cooperation. And we are to hear many other best practices of ALCoB projects delivered by other teachers, outstanding teachers from member economies. So I do hope that you will fully enjoy the whole session prepared for today. And this online workshop will be commenced by keynote lecture delivered by Professor Dong-Sun Park. And Professor Dong-Sun Park, the stage is yours.
Oh, hello, everyone. Welcome to 2021 online workshop for ALCoB teachers. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Hello. I think we are joined by many friends from many different countries. I think including Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, and Malaysia, hopefully. And any other economies are joining us? Okay, may I ask, my presentation material is being shared right now. And as I said, this is a workshop for ALCoB teachers. ALCoB stands for APEC Learning Community Builders. And we are learning community builders here together to discuss international education cooperation in APEC, UNESCO, and OECD. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, my name is Park Dong-Sun. I am currently lead shepherd of APEC HRD Working Group and chairman of the Institute and professor at Busan National University. I used to be a career diplomat, and my last post was the ambassador to Finland and Estonia, and previously to OECD. So I'm not really an education expert, but I've been a teacher and professor at Busan University for the last 6 years. Next slide, please. And my presentation today will consist of 3 parts: global challenges to education and global responses, and then international educational organizations such as UNESCO, OECD, and APEC. And then we're going to have a Q&A session. Thank you. Next slide. Well, the first challenge, I think the first challenge should be the 4th Industrial Revolution. As you know, the first Industrial Revolution took place in 18th century, and this one was steam-based. Machines were the main characteristics. And the second Industrial Revolution was in the 19th to 20th century, which was electrical energy-based mass production as its future. And the third one took place in the late 20th century, and it is also known as First Information Revolution. This one is based on computer and internet, and knowledge is the key feature of this revolution. And now currently we are going through this 4th Industrial Revolution stage, and it is also known as Information Revolution. And this revolution is a product of happy marriage between artificial intelligence and information technology. AI, software, big data, Internet of Things, cloud, etc. These are some of the features of the fourth industrial revolution, or the second information revolution. Next one, please. Okay, now the second challenge I would say is globalization. When I talk about globalization, I think of one author by the name of Mr. Thomas Friedman. He's a columnist, and he wrote a very famous book called The World is Flat. His argument is that the world has been flat. It used to be global, round, but now it's flat because of the 10 flatteners. Flattener number one is the collapse of the Berlin Wall and the impact of the Windows-powered PC platform. This one made the world flat, according to him. And the second flattener is World Wide Web. We know about this, right? Netscape and the web we use in the internet. And then we have Wikipedia uploading characteristics. This one enables us to write directly to the word as an author, okay? So this one is a third flattener. And the fourth flattener is outsourcing. So if you want to hire an IT experts or computer experts, you can outsource experts in India. So that's outsourcing. And offshoring. Offshoring means that you move your factories or companies to overseas, such as China, or nowadays in Vietnam increasingly, where they have huge laborers and workers available. And that is a fifth flattener of the, according to Mr. Friedman. Next slide, please. And another one is supply chain, such as Google, okay? And the seventh one is Google and workflow software, and then insourcing, such as UPS. I don't know whether you are familiar with this word, insourcing. For instance, if you have a computer made by, shall we say, Apple, you have an Apple computer, and you are in Korea, okay? And if your Apple computer broke down, what do? You send it to Apple and got it fixed, and Apple will send it to you. Normally, it would take months to come to Korea from the United States, where the Apple company is located. Instead of doing that, we have an expert at UPS, this poster company. And the UPS have their own Apple expert in Korea and fix it to you immediately. And the computer fixed will arrive at your doorstep the next day. So this is insourcing, okay, roughly speaking. And then the 10th flattener is steroids, digital, mobile, personal, virtual steroids. And as a result, we have 6 emerging future technologies available now: AI, robotics, Internet of Things, unmanned vehicle technologies, 3D printing, and nanotechnology. Okay, next slide, please. Well, I think this picture must be very familiar to many of you. This one is produced by World Economic Forum some years ago. They're talking about 21st century skills. And these skills are categorized in 3 parts. First one is foundational literacies, and then competencies, and then character qualities. Under foundational character literacies, we have number 1, literacy there, numeracy, and scientific literacy, ICT literacy, financial literacy, and cultural and civic literacy. What do you think is the most important literacy there? I think all of them are very important, but in my opinion, ICT literacy is getting more popular and attracts more attention nowadays for the obvious reasons. This IT technology being developed so fast. And then we have critical thinking or problem-solving skills, and creativity, communication, collaboration, and then curiosity, initiative, persistence, grit or adaptability, leadership, and social and cultural awareness. I'm very interested in these character qualities, especially the number 13, the persistence or grit. I think many people, although they are very intelligent or very smart, sometimes do not achieve what they have set out to do because lack of persistence or grit. So I think this quality of being persevering, persistent to the end, and being gritty seems to be one of the main character qualities that we need to develop as part of the 21st century skills. Okay, next slide, please. Well, now, how do we cope with these challenges? I think we have 6 trends shaping global education, which are struggling to cope with these challenges. By 6 trends, I mean, first one, hyperspeed. Everything moves so fast at such a high speed or hyperspeed. We have exponential growth and change in this world. And the second one is hyperintelligence. We are moving from TGIF to ICBM. Well, TGIF doesn't mean thank God it's Friday, or because it is already Saturday, but it means Twitter, Google, iPhone, Facebook. From TGIF, we're moving to ICBM. It's not ballistic missiles, but it is IoT, cloud, big data, and mobile. Okay, so we are undergoing hyperintelligence period. And third trend is hyper emotion. Of course, brainstorming is important, but heartstorming is getting more important. Of course, information is very critical, but imagination is getting more critical in this current trend. And number 4 is hyperfusion. We have inter-industry fusion taking place between science, art, nano, biotechnology, info technology, cognitive technologies. All these technologies are being fusioned into one to promote this inter-industry fusion phenomenon. And the 5th one is hyperconnectivity. We have Internet of Everything, as I said, and collective intelligence is the feature of those 5th trend. And then hyperaging. We know about this. Many people are expected to live until or even older than 100 years old. And therefore, teaching doesn't end or education doesn't end when you graduate from university, but it goes on for a lifelong period. So we are talking about lifelong learning instead of just teaching for a certain period of time. Next slide, please. So another trend to cope with these global challenges is to have Moocs. I think this one is very familiar to you, yes? Massive open online courses. And using this facility, we can get access to, the famous university lectures. And these Moocs services are being provided by such companies as Coursera, edX, Udacity, okay? And we have a second one, micro college. Instead of traditional 4-year college, we have 3-month course or 6-month course, and certainly not 4-year or 6-year college or university education. Third one is Singularity University. Similarly, we have 10-week program or 9-day course, quick but very important, very relevant kind of courses that we can have. And then we have a Minerva School. This school or this university is University of Everywhere. because this university doesn't have any campus. It has students, but doesn't have a campus. It moves from one place to another place. For instance, the first semester may take place in New York City, and the next semester will take place in Tokyo, Japan, and the next one will be in Seoul. In fact, a couple of years ago, Minerva School came to Korea as well. They studied here or taught here for 6 months, and they moved on to another city in Europe, okay, like Paris, for another 6 months. This way, this university has no campus because it exists everywhere, so to speak. And then fifth one is game-based learning. We are all educators or teachers, but we want to make our education as interesting as possible. We like to make education as an entertainment. So that's why edutainment means. Edutainment consists of 2 words, education plus entertainment. Similarly, gamification is to make education like a game. Gamify education, gamify school lessons so that children will be fully absorbed in their learning, enjoying their courses or enjoying their lessons and their classes with you. Okay, next slide, please. So now let's talk about international education organizations. UNESCO, OECD, and APEC will be my focus. Okay, next slide, please. First, UNESCO. UNESCO is headquartered in Paris, France, and the member countries are as many as 193. Korea, of course, is one of them. And the current agenda of UNESCO is Education 2030. And Incheon Declaration. Now, Incheon is a city in Korea, in South Korea. Incheon is the location where you have Incheon International Airport. And there at Incheon City, we had this conference, and there they produced this agenda, Education 2030. And Incheon Declaration and Framework for Action towards Inclusive and Equitable Quality Education and Lifelong Learning for All. These are key words, okay? Inclusive means including everyone, regardless of gender, background, or social class, etc. And this goal is compatible with Sustainable Development Goals, or SDG number 4. As I said, Korea hosted this World Economic Forum, Education Forum, in Incheon in 2015. Next one, please. Again, the Incheon Declaration has this big motto, towards inclusive and equitable quality education and lifelong learning for all, okay? And this new vision, as I said, is captured by the SDG 4. Okay, next one, please. Let's move on to OECD. As I said, I was ambassador to OECD for a couple of years. And OECD has 3 very important and interesting tests: PISA test, TALIS test, and PIAC test. Okay, PISA I think is known to everyone, I guess. This one is a program for international student assessment. This one is held every 3 years and measure 15-year-olds reading, mathematics, science, knowledge, and skills. And as you know, Korea is one of the well-performing economy or country whose students are very, very bright. And so many other ASEAN countries. And TALIS, Teaching and Learning International Survey. This one is for teachers, okay? And held every 5 years, measure teachers and school leaders' capabilities about working conditions and learning environments. Now PIAC. PIAC stands for Program for the International Assessment of Adult Competencies. This one is held in 2012 and 2015, and it's going to take place from 2018 to 2023 to assess adult skills. This is for adult, okay? The 3 tests are being conducted by OECD. Now, OECD PISA test. Currently, I think it may not be news to you, but PISA has added 1 category of competence test, and that is global competence. This one didn't exist before in the test, but recently added, global competence. So what do you mean by global competence? It means openness towards people from other cultural backgrounds, respect for cultural differences, and global mindedness. Okay, this is global competence. Now, so how do you measure global competence? Global competence has to do with interest for other cultures. So the PISA test goes like this. You're looking at the PISA test right there. So how well, the question is, how well does each of the following statements below describe you? Please select one response in each row. All right, here it said, I want to learn how people live in different countries. Yeah, if very much like me, well, you are very internationalized. You have a high score at PISA in terms of global competency. Mostly like me, okay. Some are like me, not much more like me, not at all like me. That means you need to improve your global competency. Another question is, I want to learn more about the religions of the world. Well, very much like me, that means that you are very interested in international things. You are very well tuned for global competency education. So you're going to have a very high mark at the PISA test in the category of global competency, okay? Like that. Next slide, please. Oh yeah, another one. Contact with people from other cultures, all right? Do you have contact with people from other countries in your family? Or if so, maybe if you have, well, in your family, you have maybe, I don't know, you have someone from different cultures. You are really exposed to international cultures and other cultures, and your global competency level is very high, okay? If you have like foreigners, students or teachers at school, I think nowadays in Korea, many schools, even elementary and junior high school level, they have foreign students mixing with Korean students there. And this kind of contact with people from other cultures enhance your global competency, or you're gonna have a very good score under this. So in your neighborhood or in your circle of friends, if you mark yes, 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 or all 4, that means that you have the highest level of global competency or contact with people from other cultures. Next slide, please. All right, now let's have a quick overview of the APEC educational agenda. APEC's educational agenda is inclusive and quality education. I think this phrase appears in almost every important international organization that has to do with education, inclusive and quality, okay? And we're talking about competencies, innovation, and probability. These 3 characteristics are very important. These are key objectives for education as far as APEC is concerned. This one is contained in APEC Education Strategy 2016 to 30. And Korea is doing its best to bridge knowledge gap in the region by implementing 3 major APEC projects. The first one is APEC Learning Community Builders, ALCoB. This one is the ALCoB workshop, and this one is the ALCoB activity. And the second one is APEC e-learning training program, AELT. And then third one is APEC Community for Educational Innovation, SETI. Okay, all right, next slide, please. Well, this is the one that I was talking about when I said that the theme of the APEC is uninclusive and quality education. And this one was contained in joint ministerial statement made during the 6th APEC Education Ministerial meeting that was held in 2016 in Peru, Lima, Peru. Actually, Education Ministerial meeting takes place every 4 years, like Olympics, okay? Not every year, but every 4 years. And the most recent one was in Peru. And 4 years before, 2012 was held in Korea, okay? Gyeongju, I guess it was. Okay, next slide, please. Well, okay, now, International APEC Education Ministerial meeting, as I said, has set out 3 objectives and 9 priorities. And this first one is to enhance and align competencies to the needs of individuals, societies, and industries. Okay, this one is promoted by quality assurance systems, cross-border education, and modernization of education systems. And the second objective is accelerate innovation, okay, where science and technology and innovation are emphasized, and government, industry, academic collaboration is used to promote this acceleration of innovation. And thirdly, to increase employability. You know, it's one thing to educate students, it's another thing to have them hired or employed by companies or firms. And that's why it is important or emphasized in education to increase employability. Okay, so we try to educate students with 21st century competencies that I was talking about at the outset of my presentation. Okay, next slide, please. Oh yeah, I'm at the end of my presentation, and the slides, the 6 of them here, are some of the exemplary scenes showing our activities as ALCoB or ALT or SETI conferences. And there maybe you're looking at some familiar faces, and really enjoy doing this work to bring about cooperation in this region. And now I'll stop here and open the floor for any question and answers session. I hope I have not spoken too fast. I think I have consumed some, I don't know, about 20 minutes. So I think we have about 5 to 10 minutes, or even 10 minutes, I guess, for any questions, any comments. Anyone from, all right, who will kick the ball? Did you, Mr. Park, Park Myung-soon, did you say that we have friends from the overseas as well, from ASEAN countries?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
we have some delegates from other APEC member economies.
Okay, great. So maybe, or we have a Korean teachers here as well. When as I wait for any volunteers to pose the questions, I like to explain some of the pictures here. At the bottom right, they are holding this this sign which says 2017 AIV capacity building workshop. Okay, this is on ICT and e-learning education. All right, I cannot see the small print there, and I don't know where it took place, but obviously some of the familiar faces there. And then the on the bottom left, you have APEC e-learning training program, right? Yeah, this one is held every year. Okay, so all right, and any quick questions?
Professor Falk part.
Yes.
This is Yumi.
Yeah.
I'm part of 13th batch of ALCoB teachers. And thank you so much for your presentation. You did a really good job in providing a broadened perspective on international institutes and the challenges and global trends in education. So I really appreciate it. I live in Busan, and I'd really love to attend your lecture. I bet there's so much to learn. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Actually, when I teach at Busan National University, my course was consists of two subjects. One is international conflicts and cooperation, okay, and then international organizations. Actually, our moderator Park Myung-sun was one of my top students, and that's why actually because of this good education that he got under my on my program, I think he had a chance to be hired by my institute. I'm so proud of Busan National University and students there. And in fact, these days, because of this corona and other issues, I don't offer courses. I just guide students, PhD students, on their writing dissertations and some other things. And I really long for the next semester when I can have a lecture like before, in-person lecture, face-to-face lecture like before. All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Kim. So, Ms. Kim Yumi, where do you teach? Or tell me about your students, about your school.
Well, I teach in elementary school. My students are fourth graders in Busan. It's a school right in front of Bomosan Station.
Oh.
Cheongyong Elementary School.
Oh, okay.
It's actually my first year after 8 years of taking leave. I've been in America for a number of years. And there I worked for the non-profit organization called Literacy Volunteers of King County. Oh. And as a program director, I helped a lot of adult immigration students, and I matched them with the volunteers so they could learn and adapt new language and the lifestyle in America. So, and then after I came back, I just had so much thirst to continue what I was doing, and then building bridges between countries and just help them to understand each other to build a better world. And this ALCoB was presented like a miracle in front of me one day in front of the computer. So I'm really happy and excited to be here.
Oh, yes, we are. We are excited as well to have you. And so do you have a license to teach in the United States as well? Were you there in the United States as a teacher or as a student?
Oh, no, actually, I was there as a mother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My husband is an American, so I took a maternity leave and took that years to raise 2 kids. So I didn't teach, but I had a lot of chance to volunteer at the public library and the schools.
I think we need your contribution to the success of the ALCoB activities. And I think thank you very much for your participation and your question and comments.
Well, thank you. I look forward to learning and sharing.
Yes, thank you. And do we have any other volunteers to say anything? Let me take some questions from our overseas colleagues, where if they have no technical problems speaking to us. From the Philippines, who is how many are participating from the Philippines? One gentleman, one lady I saw at the beginning of the meeting.
Good afternoon.
Actually, I'd like to congratulate the Philippines for their election to the capacity building network post. I mean, the lady from the Philippines was elected as CBN coordinator, which means Capacity Building Network Coordinator. So, I mean, in the HRD working group, which means Human Resources Development Working Group, where I'm chairman, we have 3 networks: CBN network, EdNet, and then EdSPN. And CBN is going to be headed by the Philippine lady. I hope we can see her in person pretty soon. But this year, the APEC meeting is going to take place virtually. And the host economy is New Zealand. Okay, so this is what's taking place.
My sincere apologies for intervening
Okay.
in you, Professor Park, but if I may,
Okay.
may I invite Dr. Margarita Ballesteros from the Department of Education, because
Sure.
she has something to raise a question. Dr. March, good afternoon. Are you there?
Thank you, Myung-sun. Good afternoon, Excellency, Professor Dongsun Park, and thank you for extending your congratulations to the newly elected and newly voted CBN coordinator coming from our Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, or we call it the TESDA, which is also a member of the trifocalized education system in the Philippines. I have been following your presentation, and true enough, your international commitment as an office or as an agency in Korea through your the IACE has, for some reasons, it has already grown, not only in the numbers that you have been training, you have reached out to in the coming from different economies, and really with your leadership, the Philippines is very, very grateful to the government of Korea for the support as well to our teachers and to our administrators because of the different levels of the trainings which the IACE also provides. Now, my question, Professor, would be, how do you see IACE in 2050? You presented about one of my favorite authors, Mr. Friedman, with the book the World is Flat, and he has another book wherein he entitled it Sorry for Being Late. And all of this it's a sequel from one book after the other, and there is at some point a connection to what is really going on, not only in this area of the world, but basically it's all over the world. So as a visionary yourself, Professor, how do you see IACE in 2050?
IAEA, or what do you mean IAEA? IAEA in 2050, my organization, you mean?
How would IACE be by then, considering it's still 2021 and we're looking at helping each economy to really technologically adaptive and progressive at the same time, with the help and assistance, technical assistance coming from your agency, at the same time the government of Korea. How do you see IACE in 2050?
I think I am pretty sure that we're going to retain the same name until 2050. and by that time, we are more like a close-knit family with a small close-knit sort of close-knit family grouping, which is ALCoB community, and IACE will be like a secretariat to facilitate, communications, exchanges, and the central storage point. Like previously in other sessions, some teachers were talking about having one place where you can access to all kinds of informations from which they can draw for their own use to elementary school students or middle school students or high school students or even college students. So we can have a maybe storage system where at the IACE where we can have access to all these kind of information so that we have really a one big ALCoB community, like a very warm, family group. And we see every month and every year, get to every year like we do. And hopefully by that time we have no more coronavirus or other, disease that will hamper our communication or exchanges of visits. All right. Well, I really enjoy this kind of vision you're talking about. Bright future.
A different way, Professor, if I may just share.
Mm-hmm.
Given that you have already trained a lot of teachers from the different economies, participating economies. So you are actually have created a ripple that will start to ripple not only in 2021, but moving forward. With me saying this, I see IACE as a hub for knowledge and at the same time for experts coming from the different economies. So by
Yes.
then, Professor or Mr. Myung-Sun Park in 2050 may already be like in his 40s, and we can never tell how the secretariat will also be performing their tasks aside from being your international relations officers, your technical assistants, and maybe later on they themselves will be mentors as well. And from among these teachers that you have already trained in IACE, I'm looking forward to having in its economy its community wherein yes, you were right, we can come together maybe biannually, we can meet twice in a year, where we can go from we can hop from one economy hub after the other, wherein you have a community of builders all in place in that specific area or specific economy, and with of course with different areas of expertise. Because now your presentation talks and leads us to looking at the future, but it's also important, you have identified the challenges, but it's also important to see where IACE, where the ALTers would go, where the ALCoB trainees would go, who would they be, what they would be doing. So these teachers who are now listening to us this afternoon would really see for themselves where exactly the future of IACE and ALCoB's future are they leading towards.
Yeah, thank you very much for that big question or vision that you are showing us. But one thing is clear to me, that is that in cooperation with each other, we can achieve great things. And I remember clearly that when we had this APEC Future Education Forum, in which the Philippines and Korea collaborated or cooperated together as hosts. That was one of the most successful future education forums we ever had. So for building the future of the ALT or ALCoB, if you, the Philippines and Korea and Malaysia and Indonesia, all these economies where you have ALCoB branches, we can really build a huge and shining kind of building which is called ALCoB or AELT. And I really look forward to that day. And thank you for reminding me and our people of the importance of having a vision for the future, in addition to identifying all the challenges that we're facing. And thank you for that. I think we need to really remember what you said, that we need to think about the future, visualize the vision for our future. And I, of course, would like to welcome your inputs and feedback and your contribution with ideas to this vision of building a greater ALCoB by 2050 or beyond. Thank you very much. Well, it's great.
Thank you, Professor.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Dr. March from DepEd in the Philippines. And I do appreciate your great and remarkable keynote lecture, Professor Park. Thank you so much once again. And I do believe that this is a magical power of his lecture that everyone wants to join in discussion, an active and interactive discussion. And that is why I learned a lot from his lecture when I doing my master's degree at Busan National University. And thank you so much, Professor Park.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. And as you all heard from Dr. March from the Philippines, everything was successful, and all this from this successful workshop could be made thanks to ALCoB teachers' talents and great leadership by Professor Park here, as well as kind and close, firm cooperation delivered by other APEC member economies. And at this moment, I would like to convey my sincere gratitude to all of you attending and enjoying this opportunity to interact with each other. And for your information, and this online workshop live streaming on Facebook has reached more than 700 teachers in APEC member economies, and currently about 100 real-time audience is watching it. Thank you so much. Then why don't we give Professor Park a warm round of applause once again to express our appreciation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And best practice sharing sessions will be followed. So we have 4 best practices, 2 in ACP, which is ALCoB cooperative projects, and the other 2 best practices are ready to be delivered in the field of AIV, which is ALCoB Internet Volunteer. So once your name is called, please raise your hand, or you can just say hello to the audience, not only here in the meeting room, but also to the public in other APEC member economies. Well, as you know, ACP, ALCoB Cooperative Project, is school-to-school exchange program. So you can deal with so many themes from culture to English, mathematics, science, and so on. So it will be a great locus for you to express and execute your potential with your lovely students. And also AIV is a short dispatching program where you can interact with other teachers from other member economies, focusing on ICT utilization in education, as well as in cultural exchange. So let me invite the very first speaker who's going to deliver best practices in ACP project. Ms. Agrafiena Nikulina from Russia Federation, Sakha Republic. So let's welcome her with a big round of applause. And Ms. Agrafiena, the stage is yours.
Hello, my name is Agrafiena. I am an English teacher. I am a teacher of Anginskaya Secondary School #1, Yakutia. Hello, My name is Uliana, and I am English teacher too in Amginskaya Secondary School. We have 3 current projects with South Korea for now, and we would like to tell you about.
Thank you so much, Ms. Agrafena. You can share your screen from your end so that we can listen to your presentation more smoothly. Thank you.
Yes. Wait a bit, please. Okay, we are English teachers of Amginskaya Secondary Comprehensive School, Amga Village. Our project is Dialogue of Two Cultures, Distance Learning Project. The participants are Bondon Elementary School, South Korea, Amga Secondary Comprehensive School, and Goyang Middle School, Gwangju, South Korea. Jo In-jin, Director of the Youth Center for Social Affairs. The aims of our project, improving English and Korean speaking skills through communication in distance learning with English and Korean students of South Korea and Sahai Kotiam, expanding the students' geographic and educational horizons, studying the best traditions of intercultural and inter-ethnic tolerance, promoting the preservation and respectful education attitude to cultural differences through different social networks, and increasing motivation of students for learning English and Korean. Also forming close ties for interaction between students. Tasks: to establish close ties with students of South Korea, to organize a number of events to help unite and develop mutual understanding, learning skills between students through distance learning, and also to create communication environment between Yakut and Korean students via online lessons in Zoom meeting platform and Facebook. Directions of our project: joint Zoom lessons, exchanging video clips about traditions and originality of people of 2 countries, learning more about Korean and Yakut friends in Facebook, sending photos and video clips, writing letters, exchanging souvenirs, drawing contest for Korean learners organized by Jo In-jin, Director of the Youth Center for Social Affairs, and outcome: opportunity for interpersonal communication, accumulating knowledge about traditions and custom of 2 countries, establishing a positive relation between 2 countries, and developing discussion skills in a team and one-on-one. Here are some photos from our project. Our students were in South Korea with our English teachers. And then here you can see our Zoom lessons with Bongdong Elementary School and Goyang School. Here are some video clips from Korean students. So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Agrafiena and Ms. Yuliana from Yakutia, Sakha Republic, from Russian Federation. I do enjoy your presentation. And hopefully here, teacher, Korean ALCoB teacher will be willing to coordinate with a cooperative project in the future with Ms. Agrafiena as well as Ms. Yuliana in Russian, if you are interested in. So they are very helpful, and they are so energetic and passionate to do some activity with Korean teachers, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Ms. Agrafiena and Yuliana?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
All right. Thank you so much. And due to some time constraints, if I may, shall we have a Q&A session after delivering all the full presentations prepared for today? All right, thank you so much. Then right away, let me invite the next speaker from Republic of Korea. Her name is Seyoung Lee, the 12th batch of ALCoB teacher. And Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Yeah, the stage is yours, and thank you so much.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, very clearly.
Thank you. So, good afternoon, sirs. So my name is Seyoung Lee from Republic of Korea and one of the members of APEC Learning Community Builders. And it is a great honor to be invited to an occasion with such significance for future education for APEC shared prosperity. I'm here to share my experience of ACP. However, before starting, I'd like to say mine is just a case, not a perfect example. Okay, then let me start it. Okay. Oh, I forgot to share the screen. Okay. Do you hear the screen? Do you see the screen?
Yes, very clearly. Thank you.
Okay, so below are contents. And I'd like to start it from background of the project. In the global age, due to the progress of digitization, it is the actual situation that exchanges between economies are necessary. This further emphasizes the importance of reducing psychological and cultural distance when interacting with people from other economies. However, realistically, when many students visit foreign economies or have a conversation with a foreigner, they are confused by the different units using the dialect, which makes them feel uncomfortable with the economies and other places as well, which soon leads to a sense of cultural and psychological distance from their own economy to other economies. Therefore, in this project, by getting to know their own units handled in the mathematics measurement field and also know other economies, it would like to enhance understanding of the units used in their own economy and other economies, and try to narrow the cultural and psychological sense of distance to other economies. Okay, this project has three main purposes. Firstly, in subject exchange aspect, it is trying to make students to make and solve real-world problems by using deep understanding of needs. Also, it is trying to improve understanding of customary measurement system, which is dealt in and out of mathematics curriculum. Secondly, in cultural exchange, it is trying to narrow the cultural and psychological sense of distance to other economies by understanding various different measurement systems used in our economies, relates them to their own measurement system. Lastly, in ICT aspect, it is trying to develop skills of creating movie clips, which is broadly used nowadays. By doing this project, school could expose to more flexible conditions in terms of learning methods by cooperating with other economies. Also could have opportunity to narrow the cultural and psychological sense of distance from multicultural students. Students could have opportunity to get out of a classroom and develop mathematical knowledge and mathematical abilities in real life. Also could narrow the cultural and psychological sense of distance from other economies by interacting with foreign students. And teachers also could enhance knowledge of other economies' mathematics measurement field by interacting with teachers from other economies. Also, teachers could try student-based method by setting the main door as students. Okay, last year, I did this project with La Ortiz Demonstration School, Bangkok campus from Thailand. Korean students were 10 years old and Thai students were 6 years old. Korean class were based on both on and offline, and Thai class were based on offline. Korean class were based on group activity and Thai class were based on whole class activity. Below are main activities, and I'm going to talk about each activities from now on. Okay, first period, students were asked to find various measurement systems used in their economy. And then they developed a UCC plan, which is for introducing their own measurement system. When they finished planning, they made UCC based on the plan what they had made exactly before. It included shooting each scenes and editing videos. Those are results. UCC were planned and made by students themselves without any regulation so that they were various. Some students were made it by using coding, some used PPT, and some used shooting. After finishing making UCC, each economy exchanges the videos made by students, and they have time to know about other economies' measurement system. Lastly, each student shared thoughts on the project, like this. Okay, next, let's move on to the utilities. Okay, I'd like to share some tools that I used on online-based class. As COVID-19 continues, online-based classes are extended, and I might think those tools could help developing online-based classes. First tool is Padlet. It is kind of a board, so I used it as classboard. For example, I posted some plans of every period so students could share the ideas of class together. Also, I created some sections for each groups so they could upload what they did. And this is Google Documents based on Google Chrome. When one shared URL of this document, they could view it or edit it. Basically, I created those documents for each group, so each group members could edit it together. This is Zoom, what we are using at the moment. I made students to go to each breakout rooms and give feedbacks by patrol teaching. Okay, and there are some tools that could be used while making UCC. KineMaster and Velo for movie editor, and Neighbor Clova for dubbing program, Scratch for coding program. Now, I'd like to share some tools that I used while communicating with other economy teachers. Line is kind of chatting tools used casually used for sharing ideas, or small chat for ice breaking. Messages, small videos or pictures could be sent through Line. And you could easily have a meeting through Zoom. I suggest you to arrange a meeting through Line and have a meeting through Zoom. And I used email for sharing results. The result, especially UCCs, are very heavy, so I suggest you to send it by email. Now let's move on to achievement of the project. In this subject, in subject exchange aspect, it enhanced the understanding of units, which is substantial elements in mathematics subject. And by doing this project, it promotes students' ability to value and attitude, which is a goal of mathematics education in terms of understanding mathematics as useful subject in real life. In cultural exchange aspect, students got confidence to use other language in order to make it easier for foreign students to understand well. Videos were made in English as one of international official language. Also, the range of cultural understanding has been expanded by searching for other cultures. In ICT exchange aspect, by understanding the task of making a video that makes it easy to understand the units of their own economy and letting foreign students to know about it, making a plan to carry out the task and doing it, students' ability to ICT has improved. Now, let me share some issues occurred. At the beginning of the project, it was planned like below. However, we didn't do activities what we were planning to do in period 6 and 7. The activities were more about making quiz related to each measurement system, such as converting one unit to others, in exchanging and solving the quiz made by other economy students. The main reasons of it could be divided into two. One is time difference in program progress, and the other is difference in developmental stages. In terms of time difference in program progress, it was impossible to proceed activities 6 and 7 as planned at the beginning because of the time difference in program progress between both countries. Those two activities should be performed in similar time by both economies, because two activities are connected closely, but we didn't. We couldn't. In terms of difference in developmental stages, also I skipped 6 and 7 periods because it was not suitable activities for year 6 children. Also, it was not easy to make a plan and create a video of introducing measurement system by students themselves for year 6 children. Lastly, I'd like to give some suggestions for subject exchange, cultural exchange, and ICT exchange to occur sufficiently in both countries. Firstly, I suggest teachers to match with cooperating schools as soon as possible and arrange the time of the program progress together. Secondly, before starting the class, please be sure to understand deeply on the project by sufficient conversation between each economy teachers. Lastly, while matching partner, similar developmental stages should be considered so that effective learning will be occurred. Okay, thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lee. Yeah, thank you so much. Well, from her experiences and from her project, I do believe that students can enhance their literal, cultural, lingual, global, and media literacy. So I do appreciate your contribution to making all that happen. Thank you so much, Ms. Lee, once again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, and currently we are live streaming this workshop to 5 member economies at least on the official webpage on Facebook of ALCoB and International Cooperation Office of Department of Education in the Philippines with kind technical and kind support from DepEd in the Philippines. And also thanks to kind cooperation and collaboration with other ministries of education in other APEC member economies, more than 5 more than 100 teachers from at least five member economies are watching this online workshop, and I do appreciate that. And now we have two speakers remaining for AIV best practices. The first speaker will be Mr. Danang Hidayatullah from Indonesia, who's going to deliver a great presentation on what he learned from AIV last year. So Mr. Danang, the stage is yours. Are you with us?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you so much. Believing that I pronounced your name properly, you can share your presentation slides from your end.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon from Jakarta, Indonesia. So, I'd like to share my presentation. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I would like to introduce myself. I'm Danang Hidayatullah. You can call me Danang, or usually my students call me Mr. D. I'm drama teacher in Minerva School, Simpruk, Jakarta, and I've been teaching for more than 20 years. And now I am chairman of Indonesian Teacher Association, or Ikatan Guru Indonesia. We have members in 34 provinces and more than 500 in district area. And this is some of my experience during this year and last 2 years. And this is our organization or association, which is Ikatan Guru Indonesia, Indonesian Teacher Association. We have in 34 provinces. And our motivation is related to our vision, which is we try to develop our teacher competencies in Indonesia. Today, my presentation more on how I motivate, I inspire you based on what I got from IB, also from the workshop last time. So sense of urgency. If we are talking about the sense of urgency, especially in this era, we talk about change. Psychologically, the principle of the sense of urgency is to facilitate change. As we know that all of us will change our attitude and skills only if we understand the reason for change and agree with it. And second, we consistently become a role model to bring the change happen. And also the sense of urgency, if we talk about this one, having a sense of urgency means doing what we need to be done immediately. And then in education, we have to focus on specific vision and mission we can take immediately. And so that's why this is my motivation before I joined in ALCoB, and also related to the smart educated teacher, readiness to change, unfreezing, and empowerment. The first one is readiness to change, means refer to individual focus or preparation on how they will implement the change into their life or maybe in the future. And in education, we have to make sure our teacher, students, and all facilities supporting change itself. Empowerment here means we try to empower our talent, competencies, professionalism, and also we try to bring what we have to education. This is what we call with the mindset, vision, concept, skills, and connection. We call it with the power of change. From IVE 2021 workshop, I learned a lot of things, not only learn about on how I use the technology to support our learning process, but also many things, including the specific objective lesson. In IVE workshop, there's a lot of questions. In the beginning of workshop, there's some question like about the novel engineering, and then about the code with and how to use coding, simple coding. We apply it into our lesson. This is my summary of what I feel that I learned something new from the workshop. The first one is about collaboration and communication and interaction, also cooperation, critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork, and digital technology. But generally, I see when we got the task or assignment from the instructor, we see that all of the objective or the outcome, we can say that refer to one thing, which is inquirer. So we encourage our students become inquirer. I said before, there's interaction. Interaction here means help students to engage higher order thinking. So this is good things, because in this era, in digital era, interaction between one student and another student will be more effective if we support them with the specific objective. And the main objective in the workshop before supporting us, that students supposed to be inquirer. What is inquirer? In the inquiry lesson, we know that there's what we call it the pedagogy of inquiry. There's question oriented and also prior learning. It's regular activated and also active investigation, and then allow students to use variety of resources, and also encourage students their year or and involved in designing assessment. The summer this is the step. The first one, we have to make sure that the student understand about the instruction given. The second, understanding of learning concept, and then the third about pair work or group work, and the last one, we have to know about the student engagement level. And this is specific scope and sequence in my subject in drama. If I connect it to engineering and literacy, like what we learned before about novel engineering. So we have in drama, we have 4 strengths. The first one is creative exploration, expression, something like how we encourage students explore their abilities, their competencies, and also their knowledge, and also how we try to motivate them become knowledge and understanding in the different level. And the second is about technical incorporation. In the novel engineering, we use some equipment that support students to build or to develop their imagination and creativity. In the performance, students may tell the story by their self, or they can do it in their group work. In the evaluation, can be peer assessment or self-assessment, or also it can be a summative or formative from the teachers. And the last one, the most important for me in our subject in drama, especially drama in society, how our lesson, our learning process impact to the society. This last, the process of change begins with accepting the feedback given. And I believe what we have done in the workshop before is not only motivate me, inspire me to be a good teacher, to be innovative teacher, but also inspire other teacher to be more adaptive and progressive. Thank you for listening. That's all, Mr.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nang, for your wonderful presentation. I do hope other teachers from other member economies could figure out what novel engineering is and how they can apply to their classrooms after the training program. And thank you so much. And for your information, novel engineering is a methodology for coding education using novel or story. So story-based coding education can be referred as novel engineering. So I do believe that you might be able to go through the real activities based on novel engineering, hopefully this year or in this coming years, because you are definitely upstanding ALCoB teachers who are participating in any activities in the future. Thank you so much, Mr. Danang. And last but not least, we have only one speaker, and due to time constraints, I would like to ask you for your kind understanding, Mr. Narciso Ogaya from the Philippines, that you have 10 minutes for your presentation. And Q&A session will be following, so please take it into your consideration for your presentation. And thank you so much. And let me invite Mr. Narciso Ogaya from the Philippines. Let's welcome him with a big round of applause.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sir Myung-sun Park. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see.
Thank you so much. Annyeonghaseyo. Salamat Suri. Salamat Pitang. Sawadi Tanbay. Magandang hapon po. And to the rest of the teachers coming from the different economies. Good afternoon. I am Narciso Ogaya Jr., a teacher from the Philippines, teaching for 15 years. I am also an art trainer and also a master teacher of Rizal High School. Rizal High School is one of the biggest high school in the world in the year 1993 to 2005. So nice to meet with you, and it is also exciting for me to present all about this. The IACE programs have created a series of beautiful landscapes towards academic success in APEC region. And one of the recipients of their programs was my country, the Philippines. With my active participation in the AIB training program last year in the month of November, I learned a fresh platform about novel engineering. Then I cascaded it to our school and crafted a project entitled Project Shine, which means School's Holistic Implementation of Novel Engineering. Novel engineering is an innovative approach of learning where literacy skills, engineering skills, creativity, the spirit of teamwork, and application of technology are highly developed. Novel engineering is done by reading a novel or short stories in which problems in the stories are identified. Then solution is determined by critical analysis, and from there, the application of creativity, engineering skills, and technology application results to the innovation of a new figure. The novel engineering program implementation in my school, Rizal High School, was truly significant towards the holistic development of learners, which was then timely, relevant, and truly in demand, most especially in the midst of pandemic. From that program in my school, I involved 5 teachers and 30 students, and the result was truly great and amazing because as the students learned, they enjoyed as well. Learning is best when our learners enjoy working with teams in which their core interests are practiced. Their higher cognitive skills are also applied. Innovativeness and socialization skills are equally developed and further strengthened. The diagram shows the story about the birth of novel engineering in the Philippines, which started during my participation in the AIB training program hosted by IACE, together with the participation of the ALCoB at the Ministry of Education of Korea. The next flow was the cascading program to my school, the formulation of the project proposal, then to the project implementation, which is the Project SHINE, the school's holistic implementation of novel engineering. It is also interesting to share to all of you what driven us to implement this project. As Philippine teachers, it is our inherent love, passion, and commitment to teach quality learning to our children, which strongly serves as our empowering motivation to continuously perform our best to the fullest extent we could make despite of the pandemic. As steward of change, we teachers strongly uphold the competencies and values parallel to the gross achievement of the mission and vision of our Department of Education, Philippines, simply because we're part of it, and that's our also moral obligation. Moreover, we are also grateful and overwhelmed with the external supports from the IACE, ALCoB, and Ministry of Education of Korea to the various programs they always share, keeping us boosted, upskilled, and more competent at these challenging times. With such blessings and support they extend, we Philippine teachers remain persistent and dedicated to offer quality education that will lead to the growth, success, and welfare to our young learners. With our collective efforts, we can be a champion to keep our APEC region achieve its core objectives by 2030, which includes enhancement of competencies, acceleration of innovation, and increase of employability rate that will sustain the well-being of the entire community. Furthermore, it is likewise our honor and fulfillment that the continued success of the novel engineering implementation that started in my school will grow and spread out fast to more number of schools, something like a virus existing in our world of education. With our tenet of teamwork today, together we will be thankful to its great impact someday. As part of the global citizen, let us always be committed to the APEC, which means let us be attentive, B, proactive, E, excellently, C, creative in answering the problems in the field of education in our communities. Though there are a lot of challenges we may face, let's always push ourselves, which means let us perform well until success happens. Just like in the implementation of Project Shine to my school, we've been lacking resources. We've been facing pandemic, and still we are also still experiencing the pandemic. Yet we never stop. Instead, we remain persistent and proactive in accomplishing our learning activities to the project. Every session in the novel engineering implementation we held in our school, we always have these different learning activities. First, teaching by showing examples, either virtually and physically. Students were grouped by place near to each other, where physical and virtual manner of learning was made during the limited kits. Google Meet app, the Zoom app, the Messenger, and phone calls were used as a virtual communication media. Second, learning by doing on the part of the students and with teachers facilitating the students' activities. There was a hands-on learning of the students with the guidance of teachers. And it was also interesting process development where students enjoyed applying their creativity, their higher order thinking skills. It was also been shared and analyzed, and the ideal teamwork was dramatically existed. Third, evaluation. Sharing and appreciation also to all participants. It's also an important part to evaluate their outputs, to let them share their works and recognize their efforts were the strong motivational factors imbued from each of the learners. Looking at their designs and listening to their stories were truly amazing. Truly, Each of them deserves appreciation to their hard works and looking forward that someday they would be our future inventors. All about the impact and the future plan. With the question, how did you apply to your classroom after the training? Afterwards, attending the AIB training program on novel engineering last year in the month of November, I applied it to my class by starting with a cascading program of what I've learned all about novel engineering. This was actually the initial implementation of the project to study how it goes, what problems may existed, what to do to make it successful on my proper implementation ahead, and defining the impacts to both the learners and the teachers. Second, planning of the implementation proper of the novel engineering after the cascading program in my school, together with the coordination of the school superiors, the teachers, the student leaders, and other concerned. Then, selection of students and teachers involved dealing with the factors of safety, interest, as well as the place or address. Then, orientation program to the students and teachers involved dealing all about the novel engineering program, its origin, the development and purpose, the distribution of the delimited kits, the roles of activities to be accomplished with the teachers and students, as well as the observance of health protocols. Implementation proper with consistent supervision, coordination, and follow-ups to all concerned. It also includes of conducting meetings for some clarification and listening to the stories of teachers and students in order to settle the existing problem they encountered, as well as sharing of learnings they discovered. Evaluation of the implementation of the program through the performances also of the learners. Evidently, with the profound significance of novel engineering to the other students who have been involved in the program, I strongly believe that this should be continued and be shared further to other schools so that the transformative results of learning made in our school will also come to happen to other schools. Our teachers and students, as the pioneer of such programs, are very much willing to share, to help, and to extend support for its implementation to other schools. Let this be known that novel engineering is an effective strategy to upskill students' problem-solving skills, to boost creativity and engineering potentials essentials for the 21st century skills development and the achievement of our APEC objectives by 2030. Let us embrace an opportunity where students can work with peers happily as we dream to broaden the benefits of impact of novel engineering in the Philippines and across the APEC region. Let's all join our hands together to foster healthier relationship and partnership in our very own APEC community. Let us watch the very short video about the impression and impacts of some of my students in novel engineering.
Novel engineering is truly interesting.
Novel engineering is simply amazing.
Novel engineering is essential in our times.
Novel engineering promotes creativity, cooperation, and higher thinking skills.
Novel engineering is worth learning in the midst of pandemic.
We learn much through novel engineering.
We love novel engineering. Thank you, Institute of APEC Collaborative Education, for the learning programs and support to us.
We love novel engineering.
With that, thank you. Kamsahamnida, terima kasih, kakakon, maraming salamat po. Thank you so much.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Narciso Ugaya. Thank you so much for your touching presentation. Thank you so much, Mr. Narciso Ugaya.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And we were supposed to have Q&A session following the fourth presentation delivered. However, we are running out of time today. So if you have any questions or inquiries on the projects delivered and today, we would exchange some content information afterwards so that you can keep on tracking the progress for the Q&A session. Thank you. so much. And we have only one session left, which is closing ceremony. So, well, thankfully, we have two delegates from Ministries of Education in our colleague APEC member economies. And before I invite them to the stage, let me invite Dr. Junchan Cha for closing remarks. And Dr. Junchan Cha, are you with us?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's your time.
Okay. Good evening, dear ALCoB teachers and ladies and gentlemen. I would like to convey my sincere gratitude for the presence of delegates from the other APEC member economies. I'm very good to see you again at the meaningful workshops for the ALCoB teachers. First of all, I am happy to introduce you to some distinguished guests from MOEC Indonesia, represented by Mr. Hafid Muksin. From Department of Education, the Philippines, represented by the Dr. Margarita Balestros. She is an elder sister, but I don't know how old she is. Also, is from the MHESI Thailand, represented by the Dr. Luxmon Smansin. Last but not least, I do thank you, valuable speakers from the Korea, Russia, Indonesia, and the Philippines for sharing best practice in AIB-ACP. We are very grateful to you for taking times off from your busy schedules to attend the 2021 online workshops for ALCoB teachers. Thank you for joining today. As part of the APEC-based multilateral cooperation project, the ALCoB project started in 2003 and produced many ALCoB teachers. Not only domestic, but also global teachers participate in the ALCoB project, and the network was expanded and formed globally. Currently, the ALCoB has 6,000 members from the 21 economies. Thanks to the cooperation of the member economies, the ALCoB project was operated tremendously successful. As well as the member economies cooperation, the ALCoB teachers' contribution and effort made it possible to implement. The global education cooperation was in crisis due to the COVID-19 last years. Unfortunately, still going on. It is grateful that we could not interact face-to-face, but the demand of virtual interaction is getting higher as the benefit in return of the pandemic. Therefore, we can assume that the pandemic was not a crisis, but an opportunity. In addition, the competencies for the virtual interaction are more importantly emphasized. Along with it, the IACE endeavors to ensure that teachers can show their competence and share their experience in various projects. It has succeeded in realizing a continuous global education cooperation through online conversion of all the projects, including the online school exchange program, ALCoB, professional learning communities, and so forth. Also, there are many ALCoB teachers around the world watching our workshop on the Facebook live streaming. Finally, I deeply appreciate all of you today. Despite the fact of interaction have only been online today, I hope you gain a lot of information about the ALCoB project and had an opportunity to network with other ALCoB teachers, not only domestically, but also globally. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cha, Jungjan Cha, Executive Director of Institute of APEC Collaborative Education. Thank you so much. And next, congratulatory remarks will be delivered by Mr. Oki Adrian, IT specialist from Ministry of Education and Culture in Indonesia. And Mr. Adrian, thank you.
Hello, Mr. Park. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Before delivering our congratulatory remarks, I saw my colleagues, teachers from Korea. I saw Miss Kim and Mr. Im and others. Hello, how are you? Nice to see you here. On behalf of the Ministry of Education and Culture Indonesia, I would like to warmly congratulate and appreciate the Ministry of Education of the Republic of Korea and IACE, Professor Park, Dr. Cha, and the team for hosting this wonderful online workshop session. It is great to see you all here. Along with me are our colleagues from MOEC, Mr. Hafiz, and also Badria, SC Galihana, and also Mr. Dana, and also our education attaché in India, Miss Lestiani, and as well as our Indonesian teachers who are watching through the live streaming. And for your information, we are currently observing fasting. We do not eat and drink during the day because this is the holy month of Ramadan, the 9th month in Islamic calendar. Indonesia is a major policy reforms in education under the President Joko Widodo's second administration. Our minister, Nadiem Makarim, introduced the policy called Merdeka Belajar to enhance our education quality for all. The latest policy introduced under the Merdeka Belajar is the extension of the scholarship program, including the scholarship for our teachers. And Indonesia has also major policy reforms in education in terms of fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. We are preparing to open our schools with very, very strict requirements that must be fulfilled by all relevant stakeholders. And for the ALCoB itself, since 2001, the ALCoB has begun in its activities in Indonesia, pioneered by Mr. Hafiz and Ms. Lestiani from Moocs. And Indonesia has expanded and developed ALCoB Indonesia in almost provinces in Indonesia. And also we collaboratively partnership with teacher communities like Mr. Danang has. ALCoB Indonesia actively engage in national and international events such as ILTP, EICON, AIV, IEP, AFEF, ALCoB Conference, XLAP, and also ACP. And for AIV itself, the ALCoB Internet Volunteer for the 2020 AIV program, there were 17 males and 23 female teachers and principals of private and public schools from all school levels, from the islands of Sumatra, Java, Borneo, Sulawesi, and East Nusa Tenggara who took part in the virtual training. For us, this number represents the diversity, the equality, and the gender balance in AIV 2020 implementation in Indonesia. We would like to appreciate our Indonesian, the Philippines, and the Korean team for collaboratively holding this first virtual AIV in 2020 with success. And for the 2021 plan about the AIV project, we will invite 50 teachers and school leaders from across Indonesia. And we will be holding the AIV 2021 on 23 to 27 of August 2021. We do hope that you all can actively join the program as well. We are looking forward to our continued partnership for education. Thank you all and stay safe. Terima kasih. Kamsahamnida. Salamat po. Thank you, Mr. Park.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adrian, for your impressive and touching remarks. Thank you so much, Mr. Adrian. Last but not least, for the second congratulatory remarks, let me invite Dr. Margarita Ballesteros from Department of Education in the Philippines. She is Director 4 at the International Cooperation Office. And why don't we welcome her with a big round of applause.
Thank you, Mr. Myung-sun. Annyeonghaseyo. Good afternoon, everyone, to whatever time zones you belong. For our other economists who are with us this afternoon here in the Asia Pacific, and as well as for our participants who are here online with us in the Zoom room. To the lead shepherd of the APEC HRDWG, Your Excellency, Professor Dongsun Park, and of course, the very dynamic and very approachable director, Director Jung Cha. We miss you in the Philippines. And of course, our very supportive technical assistants, or those of you who are at the Secretariat of IACE, headed by, of course, Myung-sun and the other members, Ms. Young-jun, Ms. Kim, and of course, Dasom. And to all of us who are here, our dear teachers, greetings of peace and love, not only at this time of pandemic, but even beyond. Greetings from the Philippines. If you have noticed, with this pandemic, the fourth industrial revolution, as mentioned by Professor Park earlier, has been accelerated. Inasmuch as the application of AI was also reinforced, and with all of these things, including the acceleration of climate change and the fragility of our planet, has become more and more apparent. Persistent inequalities, social fragmentation, and political extremism are bringing many societies to a point of crisis, and we know this for a fact. Advances in the digital communication, artificial intelligence, and biotechnology have great potential, but also raise serious ethical and governance concerns, especially as promises of innovation and technological change have an uneven record of contributing to human flourishing. Knowledge and learnings are humanity's greatest renewable resources for responding to challenges and inventing alternatives. And education does this. With our partnership, with our networking initiatives, not only with the economy of Korea, particularly that of IACE, the office that handles all of these ALCoB trainings here and there in all economies, the Philippines is grateful for the support given to our teachers. You have heard our teacher representative from the last year's first ever AIB training, Mr. Narciso Ugaya. You have seen how novel engineering has been applied in his school and how it affected his life as a teacher. Much more to all other teachers in the other economies who were able to join the training. My colleague from Indonesia has expressed what Indonesia is doing. But here in the Philippines, we are implementing the basic education learning continuity plan at this time of the pandemic, responding to the needs of both the teachers and our learners. We know that Korea has been doing a number of initiatives as well, just so to address the learning needs of our students as well as our teachers. But we commend, through the Department of Education, of course, on behalf of our dear Secretary Her Excellency Leonor Magtolis Briones. We commend what IACE has been doing, not only in the different projects or initiatives that we have been in collaboration with, but also we commend that heart of yours, that initiative of yours to reach out not only at this time of the pandemic, but even beyond. My challenge to Professor Park earlier to look at what IACE should be doing by 2050 is real. But it is not only for him and for his team, but for all economists present this afternoon in this session. And again, to the organizers, congratulations. And we hope that there will be more time for networking, time for engaging all, not only teachers, not only administrators, but maybe learners later on, wherein we both can share. Each representatives of each economy can share and get to learn together. So since the virtual classroom is real, and that all of us has already adapted to this and is already prepared and is trying to make better ways and make learning fun and exciting for our students, let's make use of these opportunities that IACE, through our ALCoB, through the community of learners and builders of the world, has already put forward. The agenda for 2030 is real, but there's another agenda for each one of us come 2050 for us to fulfill, and that is making ourselves as instruments of change, as instruments of making brotherhood, unification, prosperity, peace, love, and joy real, not only in our communities such as the ALCoB, but also from within and also within the community where we all belong. So to all the APEC economists present, thank you for the support and looking forward to be working with you and collaborating with you for more projects for our teachers and with our teachers. Again, thank you very much. Kamsahamnida.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Marge from the Department of Education in the Philippines. Thank you so much once again. Well, all the presentations and remarks delivered today made us feel more proud of ourselves and how your contribution and your dedication have been recognized and have been acknowledged by our colleague member economies. Thank you so much. And when we started this online workshop, the sun was a pie in the sky, but now the sun is about to be set. That means we have been together for so long. And thank you so much for your patience and attentive listening to the presentations and remarks, all the materials handled today. And thank you so much. Well, expressing my sincere gratitude to all of you here and all of you watching this online, I would like to conclude this workshop by saying once again, thank you so much. And let us finish live streaming here at the moment, and then we will wrap up the session in the meeting privately. Thank you so much.